Hello, and welcome back to Alpha Book Club. This is our online interactive book club that you can join right from your computer. I'm Hector Navarro, and joining me as always is Nerdist Editor-in-Chief Rachel Heine.
Hello.
It's Rachel. Yay! Books.
Please give a warm Alpha Book Club welcome back to Mothership's own Amy Vorpal.
Yay!
Hi, friends.
And
that felt very warm.
Darren and Amy have a morning show.
And Darren and Amy, have to do
a morning show.
But because no, it's true. We have to. We have to. Present tense have to.
Who's making you do it?
Who's making you?
Well, we have a character on the show named Kevin, who's just a real piece of garbage, just a pile of garbage person, played by the one and only Sean Becker.
Okay, yeah.
That we just get to yell at. And I get to yell at him. Darren is too nice to yell at him.
Yeah, Darren will never yell at a person.
I've heard him curse, and he will not curse on camera. He
really?
calls it. He says that would be the best Christmas present to me of all time, is if he cursed on camera.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe it's coming.
So maybe it's coming.
I've never heard him say a swear.
I have.
Wow.
Not like more in the way
just
that.
Like, oh shit.
Did you guys notice the decoration?
But it always.
Oh,
that's
nice?
amazing.
That's so
are those a
cute.
specific little ghost or just a creepy little ghost?
That's an adipose
A what?
from. That's an adipose from.
It's Doctor Who?
Doctor Who.
No,
Cute.
That's
Isn't
a
it?
Dalek. Oh, the ghost.
Yeah, the adipose.
Oh,
So there's
I
an.
don't actually know that.
There's an
Otter Pops
episode.
from Doctor Who.
Otter Pops.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an episode. I think they're like fat, aren't they?
Per what I was told, they are disembodied fat.
Yes. Okay. I've seen this episode, and they're cute. I have one. Someone gave me like a Funko of them, but the reason I like this episode is because I would say probably my favorite companion, Donna, who's played by Catherine. Yes.
Catherine
thank
Tate.
you.
Donna. Cool.
They have like a really great dynamic in this. Anyway, I just like the decorations. That's it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten into Doctor Who yet. I'm waiting for the lady one. And then
The-
I'll
well,
watch
it's
it.
a good time
I might
to start.
actually watch that. I watched the Eccleston one, and I don't like it.
It's weird.
I
Hey,
don't
real
like
quick.
that.
Bucky B says best morning show ever about
yay.
Darren and Amy have to do a morning show.
Thank you. Thank you
T-Boy
so
says BT Dubs, welcome Rachel to the Porg Nation.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
We're
all right.
filming something today that is coming soon.
I saw a
I
picture
was
online.
told I could tease an exciting thing that we're doing.
What is it?
And let's just say,
Do
well,
y'all-
let me
do
tell
y'all
you everything
crack open
about
a porg
it.
finally? I want to get on the inside of it. What is it?
Ew,
Delicious?
No, but I will say that I got to just snuggle a porg today, so it was
That's
pretty.
awesome.
No.
Huh?
See,
That's
no
great.
one likes this. It's
Everybody likes
aggressive
Okay, wait, I want to
and
see what
mean.
if.
It's aggressive.
Okay.
It's
Ready?
passive aggressive. It's passive aggressive. It's a big fuck you. It's
I
a
don't
big
like
fuck you.
it.
Give it to me. It's great.
It's one of these like you're not worth it. That's what
It's
it feels like.
it's
That's what it
it's
feels
like
I just
it's like a
don't- it's a
modern day hand
surprise.
buzzer.
This-
If I
That's what it
had
is.
seen you do that to her, I would have been thrown.
It
Thrown
throws
for a
people.
loop.
Keeping you on your
It
toes.
actually offends me and hurts
Book
my
club, book
feelings.
club, book club. Keeping you on your
Nobody
toes.
cares.
Guys, Maude Garrett is on an expedition in the jungle. We hope for her safe return, but I'm sure she's going to be fine.
Oh God, it was into
Welcome-
what
Oh,
jungle?
we can't sing.
Jumanji?
Into Area X.
Aria X, that's from the book. Welcome to our Alpha community. We're excited to hear your thoughts about this month's pick. We are reading, Rachel, hit them with what we're talking about
Oh
today.
man, we're reading Annihilation
Yeah.
by Jeff Vandermeer.
Damn.
And it's so good, you guys. I
It's-
love it so much.
I told you.
I'm so into it.
Yeah.
This is like my favorite book we've read in a while. It was really hard for me to stop, but I didn't want to accidentally spoil, and also I got so mad at Maude for doing it that I didn't want to do that, so I
Okay.
had to stop.
You stopped at 100?
I did.
Okay, cool.
Pinky
Oh, yeah.
swear.
I
Yeah.
also did.
I
and
take
I
very
wasn't happy about
seriously.
it. I wasn't
What?
happy about stopping at page 100 because this shit was terrifying to me. Absolutely. I was reading it Monday night when that was all the winds were happening.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
Colorado, it was the windiest
Santa
night.
Ana.
And I at every creek turn, if somebody's walking outside, I was like, it's gonna, like, I told you guys, something will kill me
Yeah.
tonight. I know
Fungus
this.
really freaks you out, huh, Amy? It's the fungal, it was the fungal thing, right?
It's not even the fungal thing. Here's what, if anyone has read House of Leaves.
Yes,
this
it's
book
House of Leaves.
It's House of
Oh.
Leaves, except they're not exploring a house.
Yeah.
They're exploring an environment.
I'm gonna
and
reread it over the
The whole
break.
thing about both of those books is the characters themselves are like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? I don't know. I need to go and explore more. I'm obsessed with this now. And you're like, yeah, what's going on? Hello, what's going on? And the character's like, I don't know.
and then there's a point where you're like, no, don't go in there anymore.
Yeah. But
you gotta stop.
But kind of don't. But then you're like, yeah. But keep going. But don't. But find out what it is.
I think maybe your social media posting about this kind of like prepped me for it a little bit, so I wasn't scared.
You're also not a scaredy boy.
I am a scaredy boy,
girl.
but let me tell you,
100%.
Okay.
Jeff Vandermeer's writing specifically didn't let me become my full-on Hector scaredy boy self because it has this very interesting scientific detachment to it. And at some point,
even scary?
Yeah,
because it's not scary for me.
Out.
It creeps me out, but it's not scary for me because through reading the story, I went, oh, there's obviously more going on here than we know. Even before the story starts with Area X, that I'm like,
you're only making my point.
No, but let me explain. The reason I wasn't scared is because I never once thought, oh, I would be in the same situation. Because I'm like, no, I would never fucking be in this situation ever. I would never be roped into this group. And if I were, at least I would have the context going into it that you don't and that these characters don't at the start of book one. Does that make sense? And then their emotional detachment.
No, that's the thing. You wouldn't, because you would be hypnotized
it would
too.
be
you are not in control of your own destiny.
We'll get into that later. That's another reason
you don't know what's real.
Didn't let me also get more scared because of when you bring hypnosis into it, because I'm very much a skeptic, and I was like, okay, that's another thing. But I know that you could still have like memory wiping, and for the sake of sci-fi, that whole idea is super scary, but the other thing is that
you don't believe hypnotism is real at all? You don't think people could be hypnotized?
Not the way that like stage magicians do it, and not the way that this book kind of does it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that there can be Pavlovian responses.
In brainwashing?
Well, yeah, Fox News is a real thing, so it's definitely possible. Yeah. A bunch of old white people get scared. Get scared every night and every single night. Mexicans aren't bad, but you would think otherwise if you watch the news. I feel like the emotional, the coldness of the characters made me think like they're not human. I can't. They're not. Not that they're not human. Sorry.
No,
let me rephrase.
But okay,
yeah, maybe.
We'll get into it.
But in the same way that like they're not reacting to these incidents the way that I would emotionally be reacting, because, and we'll just get into it. Natalie Portman's character gets hit with some spores, and she talks about maybe something's affecting me. I'm becoming obsessed with this thing. It's almost like a Lovecraftian, like I am being called by this other dimensional source.
Yeah. But
so that I'm like, that would never happen.
No, disagree.
To me.
Have you ever been like, I guess this happened to me recently. Like my heart was pounding out of my chest, and like arguably there might have been something wrong with it. But the more I thought about it, the more it pounded.
Oh.
And the more I thought about it, and the more it beat against. And I was like thinking about how long has this been happening? Oh my God! Like, well, I remember 2 weeks ago I had these chest pains and like everything, and like it just.
You WebMD'd yourself?
Yes. And I don't think that that's like isolated. I I think this is very, very similar.
It can control.
But I didn't
get
that
control
in
your
this.
anxiety can control the physicality of your body. That specific thing is somatic anxiety, which is symptom based, and I know that because I have it. And it's really intense because you can actually trick your body into feeling like you are dying. That's why I feel like I buy into hypnosis more, because
panic attacks, anxiety
the brain,
attacks. Yeah.
Like if you think that something is going to happen, you can trick yourself into kind of causing that to happen
physiologically. Yeah, absolutely. I buy that.
But that's the same thing.
Mental conditioning is real, Hector. I know, DeMarco Draws, I know. But I think what I'm trying to explain is, well, here's a great question from Krisk says, I was far less creeped out by the environment than I was by the psychologists manipulating the situation and the hidden agenda of the people who sent them there. Area X might not even be real, so I'm skeptical rather than terrified. That's, I think, where I was. The whole time I was like, this is very interesting, but this is not all the way real.
Well,
does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. But I'm right there with you, and it scared me. So it's the same thought that I was like, well, what they're even seeing might not be what they're even seeing. Like,
because of the
even
manipulation.
If she thinks that this tower is breathing, is she right? Are they right? Is this a simulation? I'm in like Ender's Game mode here.
So what scares you the most is the idea
Here's
of
what scares me the most.
of not being
The
aware
lack
of your reality.
control
It
and
is-
or understanding.
No, it is, and Brandon Sanderson said it in his book with this one character, which is whether I'm being beaten or tortured or whatever my situation is. If I know I'm in my right mind, I can anchor myself, and I know I have myself.
But if you don't know you're in your right mind,
if I do not know what my right mind is, and what is if I can't compute the logic that is my just bank, it's like where I can go, then I am out in the wild, in the wind, and anything could happen, and I'm terrified. So it's the logic of just in my inner mind.
I think I have an arrogance. I have an American arrogance that prevents me from going all the way there with something like that. From when I read Lord of the Flies, I read that book as a kid and went, this will never happen to me because I'm not some stuffy little British kid. I was like, I'm an American and we'll talk stuff out. Like I rationalized it in a dumb, completely different way where I went, my emotional reasoning will work differently than what these characters went through and how they got to the point where they killed Piggy. I was like, this would never happen with me and my friends because it would go XYZ way. So I couldn't put myself in the role of one of these four women and their jobs. And I think that especially the biologist, Natalie Portman's character, she was being very clinical to everything, and there was an element of maybe I'm being this way because of the spores, because I don't know what my reality is,
or that she was hypnotized,
or because of the hypnosis. But I think there was still also a level of I have spores in me.
Well,
I'm trying to observe myself. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to chill.
Doesn't she reference that this is actually a journal that she's writing?
Yeah.
She says and we're supposed to take notes like this.
Yeah.
And she says like this, which is like this.
Someone in the chat, and there's a lot of really good
unreliable narrator
conversation. She's an unreliable narrator. Someone, I think it was Java Book Geek Girl, asked what you're listening to while you're reading this, Hector, and I would like to know that.
Oh God, I found a good one, you guys. I'm listening to the score for. Let me pull it up because I want to get the artist correct. It is by.
Look at my little iPod. Look at my little baby iPod.
I was listening to. I just have music and it's mostly movie scores on here.
I love that. I miss my little Walkman.
I'm like, I wanted to get the artist right. It's Hans Zimmer. He did Blade Runner 2049.
Oh,
so that's the score. I'm like, this like ominous kind of future, like, that's what I was reading. That's what I was listening to, and it freaked me out, yo. It was great.
So
really good.
I want to go back a little bit.
Okay, it's the first of a trilogy.
Yeah, so I want.
There's a movie coming out starring Natalie Portman next year. Sci-fi adventure, psychological thriller. Go.
Yeah. So I just want to read the back again because when we read this last week, Maude read it. Although it is really long, but. Just for the
okay.
Just for people who are joining us and getting into the book. So
paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. Cool.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Area X.
Yeah.
Area X has been cut off from the rest of the world for decades. Nature has reclaimed the last vestiges of human civilization. The first expedition returned with reports of a pristine, Edenic landscape. The second expedition ended in mass suicide, the third in a hail of gunfire as its members turned on one another. The members of the 11th expedition returned as shadows of their former selves, and within weeks all had died of cancer. In Annihilation, the first volume of Jeff Vandermeer's Southern Reach trilogy, we joined the 12th expedition.
The group is made up of 4 women. An anthropologist, a surveyor, a psychologist, the de facto leader, and our narrator, a biologist. Their mission is to map the terrain, record all observations of their surroundings and of one another, and above all, avoid being contaminated by Area X itself.
They arrive expecting the unexpected, and Area X delivers, but it's the surprises that came across the border with them and the secrets the expedition members are keeping from one another that change everything.
Chilling. Pretty chilling, you guys. Pretty chilling, yeah.
So that premise is awesome. And
it's so good. It's so Twilight Zone.
I love this. I immediately thought House of Leaves.
Great.
I don't know if anyone's read or seen The Ruins, but this is also
Did you like House of Leaves? Did that scare you?
Oh, House of Leaves scared the shit out of me.
I read it to impress a boy, and it was one of those like. I was like thinking about it now just makes me like tear up. Like it's hard to talk about.
When I meet
gotta
people
read
who
this
have read
book.
House of Leaves, I immediately like them more.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I
awesome.
already liked you plenty.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But like a lot. But I.
All right, you two.
Sorry, Hector.
No, it's fine.
But this game, it was the. I was reading it, and my boyfriend has read House of Leaves too, and I've been wanting to reread it. And when we got to the tunnel bit, that was when I was like, oh shit. So the thing about so if you're enjoying this book where we've got unreliable narrators, we've got Lovecraftian, it gives me, I mean, Stranger Things is pulling from many things, but
Right.
that sort of vibe,
Supernatural
the
sci-fi, yeah.
infection of an alien host of some sort. There's almost moments that remind me of the Alien prequel Prometheus.
Yes, very
where
much.
she's talking
very
about,
much.
oh my gosh, I'm a biologist. Why am I getting so close to this? That felt
Yeah.
really funny to me because that was a big critique of that first movie.
Yep.
But there's
Yeah.
also House of Leaves and. Did you guys ever see Mission to Mars? I think it's Mission
Hell
to Mars.
yeah, I love Mission to Mars, dude.
Right? So dope. The end?
Page Girl, first time tuning in live. I love this book. Got the whole series. Dope.
Yay.
Welcome.
Welcome.
The ending is great and weird and cool.
And
the
that
face of
reminded
Mars.
me of the white room that they're
Yeah.
in and the training. So there's this.
Also, movie-wise, it definitely reminds me of like Arrival.
Yeah,
Where
Arrival.
it's a
that's
story that's
true.
as it unfolds, you learn more about the
Very
past and the future and the
eerie.
present, and this, a little bit of emotional detachment, but very clinical, very
But
scientific.
that one didn't scare
really
me
cool.
as much because it
It didn't scare me. It was just so
it's
like
chilling.
They
yeah,
had-
it's like
but
whoa
I feel like
with
they-
the weird
Eerie.
alien
They-
hands. Boom.
Yeah.
Sure, but I feel
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
that
whole
scared me.
time the point of it was how much, even in the moments when there was a lack of control, there was some control. In this book, spores or no, the lack
Sure,
of
you're
control.
just in there.
Yeah, it's like,
Yep.
what's happening?
And it could all be fake. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. So for anyone who likes this one, this book, if you have time, it's a really long book and it plays with like typography
House of
and
Leaves?
House of
story
Leaves.
within a
Cool.
story. But you should read House of Leaves because it's really bonkers.
Plenty of narrators, plenty of just weirdness,
It's so
plenty of
transmedia, like different forms of storytelling.
yeah, footnotes that tell their own story.
I like that.
The word house is always in blue.
Ooh.
weird.
Oh, you're shivering. You're making. You're,
Yeah, we definitely should
I
do it
would
in
love to.
2018.
We'd have to either do 2 months or people would have to commit.
Was there
You'd
ever
probably have to do 2 months.
but but I would argue
would be
that
so
maybe it's
down.
worth it. Yeah.
8 weeks? Was there ever a movie or TV show, or is it going to happen with House of Leaves or no?
There can't.
I
I don't think
don't
that
know
could
how
ever
they could do
happen.
it.
Because the way even it said. Sorry to go. This book.
Yeah,
I can't stop talking about
it's
it.
bonkers.
But it is set in a way where this man has his own life, whatever. But he finds basically a documentation of a documentary that may not have existed but does exist but
Cool.
is pretty much
From an alternate
non-existent
universe.
from this universe.
Supposed
The
to be-
weirdest part about this book is he keeps referencing real life
Modern-
things, modern
yeah.
authors and modern
Cool.
works of art that you're like, well, yeah, that exists, so maybe this exists. But the whole thing is you're really in there, and the I forgot
the
about this part.
measurement.
But I was talking to a friend of mine. Where the measurement of the house, the exterior of the house is unequal to the measurement of the inside of the house.
So
inside
Oh,
of the
yeah,
I
house
hate
so
is
that's
there.
what reminded me
That's
when
already-
they're talking
yeah.
about the tunnel,
the tower.
and she said like, how silly is it that this psychologist thinks that our measurements work in this way? And I was like, House of Leaves, because the eeriest part, talking about like what scares us, all of my fears are like death, deep space, deep ocean, like the unknown that I can't really. It's so big, I can't wrap my head around it.
I like deep space, but deep ocean, no thanks.
I mean,
with
I'm
you.
interested in it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it scares the shit out of me.
I would die in deep space.
And
deep ocean.
Deep o- like, oh, we don't even know what's down there. Anyway,
They keep
so,
finding new things.
but in House of Leaves, they're measuring the house, and the inside starts as like maybe
An inch,
an
yeah.
inch bigger than the outside.
And it just changes. Yeah.
Oh,
It changes,
it's really good.
and it turns into. This isn't really you find this out, but the house grows and changes. There's this weird place.
Cool.
I forgot about this, but there are kids, like this guy in this house that has these kids,
Okay.
and he interprets the kids as saying, "Daddy, come play with us, always come play with us."
Yeah.
Always come. And they're young, and he figures out, he's like, "Oh man, I'm getting it. Oh, I'm misting."
Are you freaking out right now? You're about to make yourself
because
cry?
what happens is they're saying, "Come play with us," hallways. And they're exploring these hallways too, and that's when he's like,
The hallways are playing with them. Oh, that's so creepy.
It's really good.
There's a great quote I want to read in the chat room. If we can scroll up a little bit, I think it was right there. T-Boyce. Keep going. One more. There's a quote. T-Boyce's favorite quote. I think. No, Java Book Geek Girl.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Java Book Geek Girl says, "So my favorite quote from this section that set the mood of Area X for me. The beauty of it cannot be understood either. And when you see beauty in desolation, it changes something inside you. Desolation tries to colonize you."
Yes. So
That's beautiful and creepy.
I think so. I think too. There are a lot of layers to this already. In that, we don't know what's real. There's an unreliable narrator. Even her companions aren't seeing what she's seeing. The psychologist is controlling them. The maps they've been given are wrong. The history they've been given might not be right. Like everything is suspect,
Yes.
which I love. But there's also, if you want to look at character work and reading deeper into whatever metaphor this is about, she has lost her husband, we find out, who was on this expedition. And I do feel like the way that she is exploring this tunnel, this tower, feels like depression to me.
It's
and
grief, it's depression, it's those stages of that. I could totally see that.
Going and the idea that you can't stop until you understand, until you get to the bottom, until you figure it out. Why did he die? Why did he leave? How did this happen?
She sees it as a tower and not a tunnel.
That
That's
she
an
has to
interesting
get
thing.
there, and that there are levels to it, and
Yeah.
that she's losing herself in it, and she doesn't
Yeah.
even care.
Yeah,
That
and she
felt
was
to me
like
like-
at the precipice of it and saw, again, visualizing it as a tower, and it freaked her out because she saw it as like she's almost like at the base of the Eiffel Tower.
means
Yeah.
that there was a means to an end, like somebody meant to do it, and then a tunnel could just be a wandering thing where
Yeah, that is definitely one
there's purpose
interpretation.
to it.
And
Let's
that
try to-
the
let's try to-
lighthouse is.
Yeah,
It
a
felt like
tower.
was connected
I'm
to
so
it.
mad that we had to stop at the goddamn
You can keep
lighthouse.
going.
No,
We can
I
keep going now.
couldn't.
Tonight
well,
you
now
can't.
I can, but
Yeah.
I was so
Let's-
mad
let's
that
try to
night.
You
break
should
this
come
down.
back for the second half. Come back
You
for
wanna
the
come
second
back next
half.
week?
Yeah, I'll come back next week.
Yeah.
Okay,
Come on.
I know,
you're
I'm
giving me a
scared now.
complex.
Wow, come on.
Yay,
So
thank you.
let's try to break this down and actually talk about like what, as far as we know, actually happened.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right.
this is what we know.
Okay.
I mean,
Facts.
and even what we don't know could be. I feel like I wish we still had our murder board so that we could be like fact question mark. I don't know. We'll get it for next week maybe murder board. So the expedition heads into Area X. Psychologist is hypnotizing the rest of the team to get there, to get through certain
There's
thresholds.
training in a
And look, we're looking at the
beyond the
trailer right here. We're
border,
looking at the
yeah.
trailer, and this
yeah.
is
Oh, it
already
looks
like
so good. Yeah. And also, you
What?
guys, Alex Garland is directing it, who did Ex Machina.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this movie, and I love Natalie Portman, and I love Tessa Thompson, and I love Gina Rodriguez, and I love Jennifer Jason Leigh and Oscar Isaac. They're all in this, and B.D. Wong, and Benedict Wong. And it's I was picturing them in my head, and one of the things that I really liked about the biologist and her disconnection is that it reminded me of one of my favorite movies, Black Swan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I
I
feel
could see
like
that
that
really working.
fragility and control and kind of descending into madness all kept within a place.
I could see that,
I could see
and I
her
could.
doing it.
I definitely pictured Natalie Portman the entire time
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
the main character, as the biologist. I feel like Natalie Portman has a strength, but she's still such a very petite person that she still has a sort of like a vulnerability as an actor, where she can play a character that is on the surface very like I'm in control, but then when you watch movies with, I'm sure like Black Swan, it's the same sort of thing where you're like, oh, actually, Natalie Portman can go to these places as an actor and actually show off some of the trauma and the stuff that their character's been through. So the team is getting hypnotized, right? But they get over there.
Okay.
There is a debate over this tunnel that they find.
Which one of the things is that, I mean, I don't know if we were going to see it in the rest of the book, but we see the barrier, which makes it a little bit less scary.
Yeah, because it's just a big purple thing.
Yeah.
But then also, I mean, it depends on how the final product is going to look in the movie, but
because they're playing with the idea of perception.
yeah.
That could be the version that they're hypnotized with, and then later it's something
else.
completely bonkers.
That would be cool if the movie did
Sorry.
that. Because every time you lost it. Amy, you lost it. The main
I just
thing-
saw the fear creep back into
the
your
main
eyes.
takeaway that I had
fucking with me.
reading this first part of this book, the main takeaway that I had was absolutely thinking about, well, what's the movie going to be like? Was thinking instead of, well, now the movie is going to sort of like definitively show something, so it will sort of take away some of the ambiguous nature of reading the story. I felt like what the movie's going to have to do is play with that perception, and movies can get trippy too if they're doing it right. And I feel like that's what the movie's going to have to do. Is it just like a good Ridley Scott movie like Prometheus, where he doesn't really give a shit about like plot or details, but he cares more about tone and pacing.
And
that's what this movie's going to have to be.
And you also have Alex Garland, who did Ex Machina, and I feel like dealing with these very high concept sci-fi
It's going to be right
ideas
up his alley.
is going to be super up his alley and weird, and I'm just digging it so far. But and Jennifer Jason Leigh, I kept picturing her as the psychologist, and I was like, ooh, that's eerie too.
Ooh.
I love the casting.
So they're having this debate over whether it's a tunnel or a tower, and I thought it was so cool and so like.
It meant
messed
nothing,
up.
but it meant
Yes,
so
it was a
much.
lot. I'm sure that thematically it has a lot to do with
And the way that the psychologist reacted to it was just like, okay, that's harmless. And
that's
you're like,
interesting. Yeah.
Even that freaked me out. I was like, why does she not?
What does she mean?
This part freaked me out. The biologist. Did you want to read something, Rachel?
Oh yeah, someone. I think it might have been DeMarco. Tony DeMarco draws saying about the lighthouse and the tower. No, Thrash Odin. It's interesting that the only two reference points we have are the lighthouse and the tower, which are mirror images of each other.
Of course. It's almost like the lighthouse could fit in the tunnel tower thing, which is really creepy and weird.
That's how I do my initials too, is A-V.
A-V. Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. I'm connected.
What if you are connected?
Stop it.
Wait a minute.
Stop it, Hector.
A for Amy. Whoa. V right here.
Okay.
And Vandermeer.
I know.
This is
Stop
so
it.
weird.
I was kidding.
Did you say the part that scared you was the spores?
Wait a minute. That's your face right there. No, I'm just kidding. No, the part that really freaked me out.
Woman.
Yeah, I'm not a guy with a goatee, okay? I'm not that cartoon. I'm not a drawing of that man. Is when the biologist touches the plant. That part didn't freak me out. It's the fact that the plants made words. I love that idea so much.
Yeah, I
they
do.
could read
And
words
the
just like
trails
this.
of the words.
But that.
you. Yeah.
But I feel like that actually, look, I don't know what the biology is, but that actually isn't the way now that they're describing it, that maybe some organism, if an organism got a copy, they can see light and dark. For one thing, they can see organization.
That's
Organisms
true.
can.
You mean a plant can know the difference between light and dark because it will move towards light?
Sure. So like on a page, light
I'm so
and
glad
dark.
we have a science person
Yes,
in here.
yes.
On a page, light and dark
Yes.
could copy. Like
There
it's
is
a carbon copy.
The printing of
Yeah,
words
it has
are
a-
technically coming off of the wood pulp in a very slight.
Yeah.
So in the natural
actually,
world, you can feel it.
When the way they're describing it, this organism probably went out, I think easily, if there are people around, found some words like this, and we're like, yes, okay, and whatever their plant mind did.
But that's an insanely
it's
specific
highly elevated,
pattern.
weirdly,
That's like
but I don't think.
intelligent.
But I think it's not. I definitely agree with her. That's not a human.
Well, I don't. This is just one thought that popped into my head. It's not my hypothesis by any stretch. But when she was talking about, near the end of the part that we were reading, when she's trying to think about the words and what they mean and how you would learn those words, I was thinking that, okay, so we know that people have been infected by this place somehow, that in some way, and the anthropologist, some crazy shit was going on with her. So I thought, okay, what if it's someone from a previous expedition who has been infected in some way and is trying to solve the same mystery, and it's going around and around and around, and That's because there are
Well,
paths of writing
yeah.
that they've seen before,
That's
above
cool.
and below it, that look like trails of previous words that are similar or not. So I feel like it might be people going mad.
We
and
don't know
going
how
down
many
the tower.
how many years it's been since Area X became a thing.
They say 30, I think, but it's not. I don't trust anything.
It could be
anyone says.
300,000 years. It
Yeah.
could be some H.G. Wells sci-fi bullshit
Because
where
they're
it's
not
just like
allowed to
millennia.
bring modern technology.
Yeah.
And someone
Yeah.
in the chat said that they thought that maybe that was because there's an electromagnetic situation happening there, and all of their modern.
Could be.
Which made me. This also gave me a super Lost vibe.
Oh, for sure.
And also,
For sure.
it's been a minute. I think you guys read
It's lost,
Fahrenheit.
but not as good.
Fahrenheit 451, where there's
Lost
like
had so much potential.
And it met it all of it.
I mean, I was there for every step of the way. But,
was I.
but yeah, it was a little bit of a
I'm still
buzzkill at the
upset.
end. Yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
But
was
even
great.
y'all read Fahrenheit 451?
Yeah, a long time ago,
So
but yeah.
The one part I remember about Fahrenheit was the shadows on the walls from the
Nuclear blasts?
From the nuclear
So you got some of
blasts.
those vibes with
A
some of the
little
letters
bit.
underneath the letters?
Well, aren't there like didn't she talk about on the way to the lighthouse there's some like
Yeah.
shadow like that kind of
Well, it was like
human
plants.
shapes
Yeah,
human
weird.
shapes in the plant life or it felt
Well,
like
let's-
that exact thing.
Let's go back a little bit before we get
Okay.
there, because going back a bit, after Natalie Portman sees some of these letters, she gets infected with something. Then the psychologist is hypnotizing the anthropologist and the surveyor to forget that the tunnel tower discussion happened and to just kind of keep going. It doesn't work on the biologist, thanks to the spore she was infected by, maybe. The anthropologist leaves the expedition. The remaining three investigate the tower / tunnel that's like burrowing into the ground. The psychologist stands guard. The biologist feels that the tower is alive inside and that there's like the walls are like,
that creeped me out.
like inside of an organism.
It's like you're in the whale from Pinocchio.
Exactly,
Yeah.
or like this, like the second dungeon from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Like you go into like the big whale fish thing.
Oh yeah.
The biologist is losing trust of the surveyor. There is lattice work / writing in the tower that is unreadable to the surveyor and the biologist, and something versus someone. That was a little discussion they had where the biologist says, something's making these letters. And the surveyor's like, why didn't you say someone?
Because she's not seeing what the biologist is seeing.
Yeah.
It's still a tower to her with stone. And that part really
But
freaked me out. where
do
it's
the other girls, do the other women see the words? Because it felt
Yeah,
like, are you
they
sure
do.
that they can read it though? Because she's the one who's reading it.
Yeah,
I never
I
understood.
don't know.
Because I thought if that.
I think so. I think at one point they did say
if the
there's writing.
linguist, if the
There's
linguist
writing.
was gone, I thought they might have like implanted that language into the biologist's brain.
Whoa,
but,
T-Boy's just dropped some
Yeah, I
knowledge.
know, that was
I just
really
thought of
good.
something.
Yeah.
Could the tower be a reference to the Tower of Babel? Babel, a pale imitation of the light of heaven?
That would be really good.
That
So
would be
here in
nuts.
this,
I kept thinking of the Dark Tower when they talk about a plague wind. Yeah, I kind of did too, and it still sort of has a lot of those same feels of like, oh, this is a very important structure.
hold on, I think, so in the section where she reads the Where Lies the Strangling Fruit, so they look at it, they're asking why it is saw to be dimly sparkling green vines progressing down into the darkness. The vines resolved further, and I saw that there were words in cursive, the letters raised about 6 inches off the wall. Pulled the light. She goes forward. I couldn't tell you what did me. If the linguist had been there, don't touch it. Did it surprise me that I could understand the language the words were written in? Yes. Did it fill me with a kind of elation and dread intertwined? Yes. I tried to suppress the 1,000 new questions rising up inside
So
me.
it's a different language.
Well, she reads it and she says words and says, "What are they made of?" The surveyor asked. Did they need to be made of anything? This section, I don't think they ever acknowledge that they can read it. She just thinks that they can at this point because she hasn't been affected by the spores. So
Well,
she's not
she's
using
surprised,
that
but she does
information.
say that's why I thought that this was a different language. That maybe whatever the linguist had, they implanted that in her brain, which sounds crazy. But
No, I
Who's
can
they? Whoever
they,
is the
well,
group
because
of
the
people
linguist
that
was
sent.
supposed to come, but it wound up not coming. Remember?
That's right.
Yeah, but there's because she says, "What are they made of?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And then she says, "Some sort of fungi. The letters are made from fruiting bodies. Words made of fungi, the surveyor said, stupidly echoing me. There's no recorded
words.
human language that uses this method of writing. Is there any animal that communicates this way? And the biologist is like, why are they asking me this? Like, of course it's crazy. But there's never an acknowledgement.
That the surveyor can read it.
Yes.
But they do just see
That's
words in some
Well,
language.
we don't know. She's saying that they're words. No one else says that they're
T-Boy
words.
says, oh my God, I just realized the strangling fruit is a fig.
Huh?
That's probably some more biblical references.
Ooh.
Or
I
some
see.
Tower of Babel stuff, Tower of Babel.
And Marco Draws knows where he's going. Where are you going? Have you solved the mystery? I need to know what this is.
There's so much.
Oh, the hog. What's that?
Oh, yeah.
Our
700-pound boar.
yeah. So have him.
You
That
guys,
was like
is
Lost.
this Lost?
This is Lost. This is the island from Lost.
But what if people have turned into animals, which they like look?
I thought
like
that
in the
about
Hunger
Lost
Games?
for a long
Yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that Bang was a shark.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe
Before we
maybe-
knew what the
maybe
others did, and there was a
Okay.
polar bear, and they were doing experiments in
You
there.
thought Ben
I
Linus
thought-
was a shark?
like
He was a jabberjaw come to human
not
life?
like a shark, but like
But like a
maybe that
shark
they were
man.
trying to take
Like a king shark.
trying to take elements of animals and build better humans.
Oh, and
with
if they
like,
put it in Ben Linus?
yeah.
He was like, my name is Henry Gale. And you're like, that's a shark. Whatever
It was
he just
way
did.
before he said
That's a
Henry
shark.
Gale. We
Okay.
didn't anyway.
T-Boy says the strangling fig starts off as an epiphyte growing atop another tree and then strangling and enveloping the host.
But is it a parable? Like where's this?
Ooh.
What is that?
It's a very similar to The Ruins, which is a
The fig tree has a
movie
symbiotic
and a
relationship with
book.
wasps as a pollinator.
It feels like they're being taken over and
By-
assimilate by whatever
By the plants in the happening.
Did the plants in the happening take over people? I just
No,
remember that
yes,
Mark
no,
Wahlberg was
they-
supposed to be a science teacher, and
That's true. And that was the
Was
most
that the
unrealistic
very
part.
end? At the very end, they come out of that, and then there's like that vine that creeps in that person's eye.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
That was another
That was
movie.
another,
That
had to
sounds
be
cool.
another movie.
At the end,
very
they're just
you
like
think-
they're just like the
Thank you,
trees
the
aren't mad.
Tamaranian.
Trees aren't mad anymore. Yeah. Come on,
Thank
Tamaranian.
you.
Come
Oh
on.
man,
Would've
there's
been
some
cool.
lost
There
hate
is some
happening.
There'll
biblical
always be.
stuff
There'll always
here,
be. Like Street Sharks or Dr. Moreau.
and we don't.
So okay, let's get back to what we.
Also, the photos don't. They can't take any photographs
Yes.
of anything.
Stuff doesn't line up, man. There's something happening.
Are they
So-
on another planet?
If anyone has read all three, do
Yeah.
you find out?
Lee
Do you
has,
find,
yeah.
I don't want to know what it is. I just
Listen
wanted
to
to find
Amy.
out.
Listen to what BCom's about to say right now. Go for
Okay.
it. But just say how you like. You started reading book 2.
All I'm going to say is I read the first book, started reading the second book, and the second book right off the bat recontextualizes the first book immediately.
See?
Like
You get more
oh
context.
shit, that changes everything.
You get more context.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
so
Okay,
cool.
so you do figure some stuff out.
Yeah, you learn more.
Questions are answered, but then they're answered with more questions. You're like,
Yeah.
oh shit,
Like
but-
Lost.
that's what that meant.
But-
Oh wow, I gotta go reread the book with that in context.
With that
But,
knowledge.
but by the end of all the trilogies,
Lee.
Anything else?
Okay.
Lee,
Lee, keep your mouth shut.
Lee.
Lee, don't say anything.
Just give me. Just give me
I'm
a
gonna
show.
read them all by
Let's
next
put it
week.
this way. Let's put it this way. When we're done with this, after we do our next round of books, we will be coming back to the second and the third.
Okay.
And we should do an overview of all.
Cool.
So I
Okay.
just want to know from Lee though. I know
gonna read
everyone's
them,
saying not a peep Lee, but just give me a yes if it's satisfactory to read all 3. See? Is that good enough for you? Satisfactory? Is that good? Or are you
That
guys
is-
looking
that is
for
vague
every
as
answer?
fuck.
Or are you guys
No.
looking for
No,
every
no,
answer
no,
ever
no, no,
like
no, no,
Lost?
no, no.
No more?
How dare you? I was not looking for every answer. I was looking for better writing than taking the metaphor of a cork in a bottle and making it literal.
Ooh.
Boom! Literal cork? Come on!
The third book is written in second person.
Ooh.
Wait, what?
The third book is written in second person.
Okay,
Who-
but the
Wait.
second is in first person?
It's like second person.
I know what
Is the
first person
is
is.
the second book in first person?
I know what third person is. What's second person?
You to you.
You.
Oh! We have to finish
So
this
it's like-
episode so that
so
I can
it's
go
like
home and read
you're
all
going to
these
Area
books.
X, and then you do this, and you do that.
We have to go.
Oh,
Wait.
that's a good question.
Hold on.
Is that what
Lost
second?
my
Is that
train
what
of
second?
thought.
It's like telling. It's like a lot of declarative things to you
Yeah,
that
it's,
you're
it's
doing.
speaking to
Oh. Oh,
You don't see many things written in. It's usually.
you. Yeah, it's very rare.
Very
Wait,
rare.
so
like the Twilight Zone is second person. It's like, welcome to the Twilight Zone. Like that, because it's talking to you? No? I don't know what it
So
is.
there's the boar.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, if you are
You are about to enter a realm. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, if you are the subject.
Or choose your own adventure.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
there you go.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
So then this is what happens. They find some slime and residue and the set of footprints that are in this tunnel. The biologist's husband was on the 11th expedition as a medic. This is what we find out. Then he died of cancer. He gets real weird when he comes back.
It's like he's hypnotized or he never really came back.
The surveyor and biologist find the body of the anthropologist in the tower. They think the anthropologist interpreted or interrupted whoever was writing or whatever was writing, and that the psychologist hypnotized her to go in alone. The psychologist is missing because they get back and she's gone. The surveyor wants to go back, but the biologist is studying the samples. And then we get the backstory of the biologist, and her husband. That was a wine burp. Cool. First one in a year. The backstory of the biologist and her husband. Then we get to the crawler and the tower. The biologist gets to the lighthouse. That's what
Do you
happens at
think
the
a
end,
better
page
word
100.
is the scrawler? Because scrawling's no big
Boom.
deal. No big deal.
No big deal.
whatever.
Pretty good.
Take
Pretty
that.
good.
So-
Pretty
Jeff
good.
Vandermeer, I've got notes.
The section that you were talking about, Amy,
Yes,
is this deserted village.
right.
And in what
Freaks you out?
had been kitchens or
It all
living
freaks me
rooms
out.
or bedrooms, I also saw a few peculiar. I'm on page 96, by the way. I also saw a few peculiar eruptions of moss or lichen, rising 4 or
Werewolf.
5 feet tall, misshapen, the vegetative matter forming an approximation of limbs and heads and torsos, as if there had been runoff from the material too heavy for gravity that had congregated at the foot of these objects. One particular tableau struck me in an almost emotional way. 4 such eruptions, 1 standing and 3 decomposed to the point of sitting in what once must have been a living room with a coffee table and a couch, all facing some point at the far end of the room where lay only the crumbling soft brick remains of a fireplace and a chimney. So,
I
are we on another planet, or has everyone been dead for years and they're going back into a place that was eradicated by some sort of alien spores?
Yeah.
Something like that, man.
I just finished reading I'm caught up on this comic book series called Manifest Destiny about Lewis and Clark traveling across the United States. But the comic book twist is that the president at the time, the president of the United States, I think it was President Franklin? No, who's like the second? Jefferson? I think it was Jefferson.
is the second. is the
Third president. So Jefferson.
John Adams is the
So President Jefferson sent Lewis and Clark not only to like clear the path for the manifest destiny of the United States and getting to the the West Coast, but also to kill all the monsters that were in the wildlands of the U.S.
Oh, I've heard of this.
It's a great book.
I've heard
It's
of
a
this.
great book,
Yeah.
and one of the first monsters
My
they
little brother read
encounter, after they encounter a minotaur, but instead of a horse, it's like a buffalo person. This huge creature, which is just the baby of even larger creatures. They encounter a sort of a zombie virus, but it's like plant life. Like old settlers, old people that were out west, they inside are plants, and their plants are coming out, and they sort of become like this plant hive mind. So
Well, that's
that
like
was
the-
what that,
The Ruins, which
Yeah.
was a horror movie but also a book, is it's like a group of teenagers or college students, and they're going to like Mayan ruins,
Typical.
and they end up.
Wait,
at
what
one-
is it called?
The Ruins. That
Maybe
might
that's
be the one with
at the
that
very
it-
end, the thing.
Probably.
And they
comes
go
out of
into
the
this
eye.
building
Spoilers.
that everyone around them is like, "Don't go in," and they're like, "LOL, we're gonna drink," and whatever. It's one of those. The book is really scary, but the vines infect them. It's like cabin fever, but with like vines.
cool.
Yeah,
kind of.
that's
It's really
pretty.
spooky.
That's very scary.
Plants
Yeah,
can
that
be
one-
scary, you guys, but they're not scary in
Well,
the happening.
especially if they have, if it's a virus.
And they have an
right?
intelligence.
And they
They
have
have
an
an
intelligence,
intelligence,
or an agenda
yeah.
of some
Yeah.
sort.
Do you think that the man, her husband, actually died though? Like,
I don't know.
Like,
I
or,
mean,
or
if
do
you
you
get
think
into
he
that,
died
Amy,
of cancer?
Nothing happened.
Well-
like I could look at everything in this book and go, well, none of that's real.
Well, sure, he could
that's
still
where I'm
be
at.
there. He could still be there, and she could have been hypnotized into trying to find out why he disappeared. Like, that's her
Yeah.
motivation. He could not be real at all. He could be, like, if you're thinking about, we talked about this when we were talking about, like, stoner talk of, like,
Yeah.
how do you know that we're all seeing the same colors? And how do you know that your memories haven't been
Yeah, no.
implanted in your
Yeah.
head? But, like,
Yeah.
how do we know that she's not the 5th clone of her and all the expeditions have been different
Well,
versions
that's the
of
thing
them,
that's the other thing that actually this guy does really well is set up that these people found something that at one point made them kill each other, and another point made these people kill
because she was told that.
Totally, but if there's something, if that's real and if that's out there, there's something in here that's like they're both like not worth. Everyone's like not worth it. Bye. And I'm like, well, what is it?
It's so scary. That's the fear of the unknown.
It's got to be some sort of. It's got to be like the thing that would make me kill other people and make me kill myself. Hold on, but what it would it would be?
Go on.
Is if it was like at the point where you knew that your brain would be a vessel for something completely different than you, and then I'd be like, well, no, you don't get this brain. Sorry.
Yeah.
That would be enough, I think.
And if it was because
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In that classic
Stepford Wives.
50s Red Scare communist fear that America had of sleeper agents, and your next door neighbor could be a commie. And and I also think it's really scary that like little green men or little gray men that come down and have laser guns or probe us is scary. But what's kind of scarier is like if there is an alien intelligence or something that visits the Earth, and all of a sudden there's a whole section that's like, don't go in there because shit's weird.
Yeah.
Like, because there's no definitive answer. Like, well, wait, what did happen? Area X. What's
And she
going
acknowledges that too, where she says they let us watch some of the or listen to the audio, but we didn't hear their we didn't read their journals. They want them to keep as much to them. So there's a fear of letting the others
Too much information.
Contaminate you.
And see,
It's like
all
the
of that,
thing
all of that,
a little bit
yeah,
too.
but all of that makes me feel like, and maybe I'm really curious to read the second book now because I would like to
too.
get that extra context.
Yeah.
Like, what does that
too.
mean? But it makes me feel like the reason I can't fully even feel bad for these people is because like, well, there's a higher power that's screwing you guys over. The government is lying to you as always, as they do. The government is sending these poor 4 women in without sufficient information.
Way, I was telling my mom about this book because she is an avid reader. She's a librarian, or at least she was. And I was like, okay, it's this. And she's like, yeah, and what's that word? It's like the future. And I was like, dystopian. She's like, yeah. She goes, I hate those books. And I was like, Hunger Games, Mom. And she goes, I hated Hunger Games. All I can think is, why ash and gray? Why no color? Plant a flower with all this soil. Do something with it.
Yeah.
And like, because she's a gardener
Some
too.
planning.
And it's so cute to hear her. She's just like, no, we need a sun. We need a sun. We need sunlight.
Yeah. I don't buy it. She's like, I don't buy it. There would be sun.
Yeah, you would
we
plant.
would have the sun.
You would plant a flower.
You would. You'd have trees.
It was so cute.
It makes sense. It's true. Okay,
Someone
guys.
pointed out too that it was a little bit like Westworld too, which I agree, where these characters
You don't know what's real and what's
they
not
don't
at
know
first.
what's that they're
Yeah,
scripted
and
out
also
to
the
live
white
this.
room where they are, like
they're
it's
being
very
before they go in.
Yeah.
They're being reset. So there's this, as far as like science fiction goes, this could go so many different ways.
Yeah.
It could even be like religious.
Yeah.
It could be supernatural. It could be sci-fi. It could be.
God.
How do you guys think that the second book is like the second half of this book is going to go? I
No,
have
now
no
that
clue.
BComp has said that, I
feel
feel
like
like
this
we'll know what the
expedition will
event
end.
was. I feel like we'll find out what the event was.
I think that
In
this
book two?
expedition will. Oh, in book 2, yeah. But I'm saying like the
I
end of
think in
this.
this
What's going to
book
happen?
we'll find out a little bit more about motivations. There will be some sort of reveal about why they're there. I would like it. I don't know if it's headed in this way, but I really like when sci-fi and religion intersect about. And I feel like Mission to Mars gives me that vibe where they're like,
we can't explain it.
yeah, so taken aback by what they're seeing.
Humans were created by Martians. We gotta let Gary Sinise go. He's sad because his wife died.
Can I so my older brother, who's 18 years older than me, took me to see that movie, I think on my 13th birthday, to get me out of the house for a surprise party for my birthday.
But that
And we
movie
went and saw it, and it
affected you.
really got to me. And so I came back and everyone was like, surprise! And I was like, like I don't want to deal with people. I was very shy.
I need to go to my room and think about Mission to
I have
Mars.
to think about humanity. And
why didn't Gary Sinise go back with Don Cheadle?
He should have gone on the road.
Why didn't Tim Robbins reach for it? He should have reached for it.
And wasn't it Tim Robbins who took off his helmet?
Yeah.
And Gary Sinise kept going?
Yeah, he's like, don't come for me. And he like saved
And
his wife's
wife
life
is
by
crying.
and then he like froze and turned gray, and she's like crying. She's like, no. And I was like,
Also-
it's underrated. It's good.
Also,
You ever seen Mission to Mars?
Contact?
I haven't.
Should watch
Have you
it.
guys seen
Yeah.
Contact?
Yes.
Okay, Contact gave
Contact's
me
another
my
one.
first, at least the first I can identify as my first panic attack.
Oh wow! How old were you when you saw Contact?
Probably
8?
like 9 or 10.
9 or 10 years old. You're like,
Because of the
there's
sound.
40 hours of footage. What does that mean?
Yeah, and the like the sound and the
Yeah.
language and not knowing that like fear of the unknown, where I was like, I have to get out of here.
Oh my god.
So this book is kind of giving me that vibe.
I love that
in a
stuff.
fun
I love
way.
that like
I'm excited that I
unsolved
get
mystery
to I get
stuff,
to
man.
finish this tonight if I want to.
I'm,
If you want.
Yeah,
And none of you can stop me.
I'm gonna finish it tonight, I think.
yeah,
So-
I am.
so
I might
what-
start book 2 just so I fucking know what he's talking about.
Give me one prediction for what's going to happen in the second section. One prediction.
Oh, second section.
One of the
Is the biologist going to live or die?
Live.
Ooh, because you don't cast Natalie Portman without a 3-picture deal.
100%.
I
Right? You're right.
I think that someone like the linguist or the anthropologist I think someone who we think is gone or the husband is going to come back in some way.
Yeah, someone lit that light in the lighthouse, and it's
Mm-hmm.
it's someone from a past expedition. I think. I think the psychologist pieced. Like I think that psychologist left and was like, yeah, I killed someone. Oopsies. And
We
getting
still
out.
don't know that she killed her either.
Yeah.
Oh, is that very funny?
He comes just
he's
chuckling at
very
us. He's just chuckling at us.
Oh, I gotta read it
Oh,
tonight.
yeah.
Oh
What
my
is so funny?
I'm
Vis-
not saying if you guys are anywhere close.
Wisdom is
Get
guessing.
the fuck on the other side of the
This is
line.
like when Game of Thrones book readers
Yeah,
knew about the Red Wedding.
of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Lee's
funny.
laughing too. Oh no.
Yeah.
Lee, stop
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
What else?
What do you think's gonna happen?
I think that this expedition is going to provide some clarity, but I think that everybody will die.
Yeah.
And I think book 2 is going to be like the if this is the 12th expedition, I think book 2 is going to be the 13th expedition, and we'll know what we knew about this. But then I think we might with book 2, if BCom's talking about giving more context, book 2 is going to start like, all right, so this is what Area X is. This is why we're sending this team in. This is why we're wiping your memories. Here's what you know about the 12th expedition. When they'll be lying to them and like, we know about the 12th expedition. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I do feel like if BCom says that there will be context, I think it'll be a hell of a lot of context.
I think so. I think
Nice.
that book 2 will be from the perspective of whoever is training them.
That would be awesome.
Ooh, that
Or
would be cool.
The man behind the curtain.
The person who lit the lighthouse. They'll be like,
Ooh,
I'm
that
waiting for
lighthouse.
somebody to come get me. Annihilation. Book 2 is authority. Book 3 is acceptance. I don't like
That's true.
acceptance. That's
Wisdom
creepy.
does say that. No, I don't think she says that they die. Wisdom says the biology says that everybody dies. I think she says that the psychologist and the
And
anthropologist don't last much
24
longer.
hours.
She- yeah,
but that
she-
didn't mean even dead. That just
Yeah.
mean they left.
Yeah, they
maybe.
left.
Like, it's no point in even knowing their names because they're not making it through the next couple days.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they're not. They didn't make it through.
I know.
It's hard to.
Steven, you read it too.
Wait, did you read it?
Yeah, he read it. Yeah, he's in the 3rd book right now.
You are?
Really? Oh my God.
Oh man, oh man.
Crazy.
I'm gonna have to read this tonight. I'm not sleeping.
What do you
Yeah, me
think
either.
happened to the previous expeditions? I don't know, but that's such a great twist that such a great premise. The first expedition returned with reports of a pristine, Edenic landscape. The second, mass suicide. The third, killed each other. That's
And by
such a
the
great
12th,
premise.
they die of cancer rapidly.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And
Yeah,
so
but
scary.
cancer is. I don't think they die of cancer. There's no way they die of cancer. Cancer
Well,
is
maybe
like
it's
this,
something
this
that
excuse.
But
that's
isn't
like,
that an excel? I mean,
It's the only way that
it's
I
an
think.
acceleration of cells, isn't it?
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
So isn't it something could
but I
trigger
think it's
some
like
sort of?
yeah, but I think it's like something else that
biological
they're like, oh,
response.
this is how somebody might.
Sure.
This is the
Yeah.
the perception of the body
Yeah.
deteriorating is cancer, but otherwise it's like this
Question for you, Amy.
thing.
Are you scared while you're reading this book? Are you scared?
Yeah.
What's the scariest thing about it?
The scariest thing about it is not knowing anything. Like the scariest thing, like I said before, is losing logic. Is feeling the logic of your brain that I pride myself. I like love the way that my brain works.
Pretty good brain.
And and the fact that I can't wrap my head around it is maddening.
I always love that though. When I watch a movie or read a book where I can't figure it out, I'm
Yeah.
like, yes.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's why I like House of when it's
House
so
of Leaves.
unexpected and that's why I like reading a lot of mysteries and thrillers, because if I feel like if I can find the ones that I can't figure out, then I really enjoy them.
And that's why I like Scooby-Doo, because I can figure it out pretty much immediately. So guys, your homework this week is to finish the book Annihilation. Do not forget, we're also on Goodreads. You got to search Alpha Book Club, and then you can come discuss with us. Amy, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find
Hector,
you?
Thank you, and Rachel, thank you. They can find me at Vorpal Sword. I was about to say at Joint Team Alpha. I've been writing this all day. Oh God!
Vorpal's
At
word?
Vorpal
It's Vorpal's
sword,
sword.
which
It's like-
I have a Vorpal sword now, thanks to Darren. I have to show you guys.
Really?
He
Cool.
printed out pictures of my fucking face and put it all up on this weird blade. So like I have a blade of my face. It's the most narcissistic gift I've
Well,
ever
we'll just have
gotten.
to
That's
take-
awesome.
We'll just have to take
But-
your Vorpal's word for it. So.
Okay.
Oh man.
Hey! She fisted me. So what's happening on Mothership this week? Amy, what's going on
Okay,
Mothership?
we are actually, I'm your co-host.
Oh, what? Why?
Yeah, Jessica Chobot is heading off to the Game Awards.
Oh, cool.
And I think I'm the third in line for other people that they asked, but
Cool. So
at
two
the-
people couldn't make it. So that's really. It's a
as
real
I
bummer
said,
when you're. It's a real bummer when you're the writer and you know that, and then they come to you
I
third
will
person
tell
and you're
you,
like,
it's not
okay.
that much of a bummer.
Really?
I think I'm known around this office for being like a really good thumbs up plan
course, man.
B or C or D.
Well, let me tell you something, Amy.
What's
You're
up?
my first choice for co-host.
Okay, you have to tell.
Chobot's
Now you
gonna
have to tell.
murder
Now you have to tell Chobot that.
I'll tell it to her
and
face.
Steve Zaragoza.
I'll
And
tell
wait,
him
hold
he's
on.
fine.
And Tiffany.
And also me.
And
And Maude.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah,
pick
you're taking a haul
favorites,
with that.
Hector.
For the show Mothership. Only for the show Mothership. Only for that is what I meant.
Man.
But
It's
Jessica
gonna be fun.
Chobot's gonna
It's gonna be
kill
fun.
me.
We're gonna
Jessica
be
Chobot's gonna kill me.
noggin for
I
porgs.
got some great co-hosts. We're gonna be noggin for porgs.
Which means porgs and eggnog, using our mouths to get them out. That'll be the highlight.
I'm gonna barf.
We're gonna play a fun indie game called Think of the Children.
Cool.
And we're gonna give our very own holiday gifts guide for the kids and adults at home.
Okay, cool.
gonna be
Nice,
the big-
nice.
yeah.
That's happening on Mothership. Guys, if you're interested in joining us on Alpha Book Club via Skype, let us know on Twitter at Join Team Alpha with the hashtag Alpha Book Club, and we're all gonna get you set up. That's what's gonna happen. Make sure that you send us your book recommendations to at Nerdist, at Geek and Sundry, or at Join Team Alpha with the hashtag Alpha Book Club. And then we're gonna see you guys next week to talk about Annihilation Part 2. Bye.
I'm so excited. Bye, guys.